One of the biggest contributors to my success is my morning routine. A while ago, when I put other people's demands on my time in front of my own, I never got anything important to me done. We need to prioritize the things that we want to do, the things that are building our next life, the things that we enjoy. We need to prioritize those things before we start our day, and that is the secret to changing your life. I'm Matt Gerlach, and welcome to Matters of the Mind, Rise to Your Worth. I help high achievers, high performers just like you, who are struggling with burnout, with anxiety, and maybe even shame, create a life that is full of fulfillment, alignment, and abundance. Now, who doesn't want that? Today I want to talk about morning routines and how, for me, my morning routine is seriously probably one of the biggest contributors to my success. Back before I established a good morning routine, I would try to get to the things that were most important to me, like writing my book, building my next business, the things that I enjoyed, like cooking a delicious dinner, going for a run, doing yoga, all of these things I was prioritizing after I got through the demands that other people had on my time. And let me tell you one thing that I've learned. If you take nothing more from this podcast episode, there is always going to be more coming in. There's always going to be more asked of you. This isn't saying like, don't do your job. It's not saying like, don't meet deadlines. What I'm saying, I'm talking to you. You're a high performer. You are excelling at a level that exceeds the average level. And your 100% is probably other people's 70%. So you know what? You don't have to perform at 100% if you're not appreciated for performing at 100%. Back when I started my healing journey, my growth journey, I realized I loved reading. I was also desperate for answers and desperate to understand what was going on with myself. I was anxious, I was depressed, I felt a lot of shame, I was having physical health problems because of it. And I realized underneath it all, I had a self-worth issue. On the outside, I looked confident. People saw that I had success and they thought that everything was fine. But inside, because of my childhood trauma, because I was told growing up that I was worthless and because I was selfish and that the things that I asked for, the things that I wanted for myself were excessive and they weren't things that I should be striving for. And it made me feel like there was something wrong with me. When I think back to 8 years ago when I was going through this, looking at my journals, I just always thought something was wrong with me because that's what happened during my childhood. Everything that I wanted, I was told was wrong. I was told that I was wrong for wanting it. I actually remember being told things like, you're the only one with the problem. And that, as a child, really messed me up. I was trying to figure out what was going on. The doctors really weren't able to find anything too wrong with my physical health. I went to literally dozens of different doctors trying to figure out what was going on. And there wasn't anything really wrong that was making these panic attacks happening. And then finally, I went to a neurologist who said, Matt, I've seen this a million times. What you're suffering from is plain old anxiety. So I was on a quest to understand what the heck was going on with my life. And I took to reading. I took to also listening to podcasts, audiobooks as well. So the mornings became really important for me as I tried to understand what was going on with my life. I knew this thing called anxiety, but I didn't really know much about it. It's something that I knew I had all my life, but I never knew that it could debilitate someone to the level that I was. And underneath it all, there was a huge self-worth issue. I think that anxiety in its most simple form, I'm not saying this is everyone's situation, but for me, and I know for a lot of you, it's that our internal needs, what we want for our lives, is not matching our external situations. This can mean that we are in a relationship that's not good for us. It can mean that we're in a job that's not good for us. It can mean, like me, that there's trauma from the past that is eating away at me, eating away at you, that needs to be uncovered. And I was on a quest to figure out what the heck was going on with me. So reading became a massively important part of my life. For me, I look at reading kind of like watching a TV show. You have several TV shows going at once. So I like to have several books going at once, depending on my mood. I have a business one going all the time, and then I have a memoir, something a little more entertaining as well. So I think it's really fun to look at reading that way. So for those of you that need a little help getting excited about reading, I find that having several different options, like we would for a TV show, is a great way to approach it. So I was on a quest to really figure out what was going on with me. I had no idea that mental health, that emotional health could debilitate a person to the level it had me. So I needed to figure out what was going on. And this became the most important part of my day. I wanted to spend a few hours trying to figure out what was wrong with me and what I needed to heal, what was going on, why my situation was so dire. So I remember before I established a really good morning routine, 6 o'clock would roll around, dinner would not be cooked, I hadn't worked out, I was in the clothes that I slept in the prior night, and I'd be so angry with myself. Like, these things that are so important to me, why am I not doing them? Why am I letting other people's demands on my time get the priority over my time? And again, I'm not saying like don't fulfill your responsibilities, but one of the single most important things I've learned is that I need to do the things that are most important to me first. And that might mean taking care of your child and preparing their lunch. It might mean writing your book like it did for me. It might mean something different for you. It might mean working out. But these things really should be prioritized over the parts of your day that aren't as big of a priority to you, the things that are more routine, like your job. So many of us, if we just go to work and keep waiting for the work to be done, we're going to find time to do the things we enjoy. That's not how it works. And we still have a job to do. So we need to do the work, but we also want to enjoy our lives too. So here's what I've learned. I just came back from the gym about an hour ago, and I've accomplished more things in the morning than probably most people accomplish all day. So I wake up about 4 a.m. and it takes me about 15 minutes to get out of bed, brush my teeth, make my way downstairs, carry Bruno down the stairs. He had back surgery about a year ago and he can't walk down the stairs anymore. So I make my way downstairs and I make my lemon water. I drink lemon water in the morning. I find it to be super helpful. It's like I can actually feel it starting to help me breathe and open things up inside me and gets my blood flowing. I've been recommended to drink a couple cups of lemon water about 30 minutes before I have coffee. And I stick to that most mornings. It feels really good, actually. I meditate for 10 minutes. I use the Calm app. I find meditation to be so helpful. And I did an episode about this a couple weeks ago. And meditation is like one of the most important parts of my day. And it's been really beautiful after doing it for now about 8 years. I'm really starting to see something happen. I mean, I've seen something happen before these past few weeks, but like I'm seeing something really magical happen, that I'm observing myself. And it's really helping me in a whole new way that I haven't felt before. You should listen to the episode if you're curious about meditation. I'll link it in the show notes. But I meditate, and this takes me till about 4:30, 4:40 in the morning to get those things done. I love to read, so I allocate about an hour in the morning to reading. I have 2 books going right now. I love reading, and it's really helping me. It helps me work with my clients too. It's so funny, like every day I'm like reading something that I am able to bring into my coaching programs to help my clients learn what I'm learning. I love reading, not everybody does, so it's really special for me to be able to help people learn what I'm learning in a much more distilled fashion. During the reading time, I'll go up and get my coffee when the 30 minutes of drinking lemon water have been up. I drink half decaf, half regular coffee now. I love my coffee. I know I'm drinking probably too much caffeine if I don't do half regular and half decaf. And I put oat milk in it. I love my oat milk. And I read for the hour, and then I allocate an hour to writing. I put my book down for a while. I started working on it about 3.5 years ago. And this was really sort of a journaling project for me. I was able to really chronicle what I was going through during my healing journey. Something really hard happened, and my parents and I had a big falling out, and about 3 years went by that we didn't speak for. And during that time, I was really in a lot of anguish and pain, but it was very necessary, I think, for me to have that time to really explore my childhood without anybody else's opinions or influence. And I chronicled that. I wrote down, I have almost 2,000 pages that I've written about what that experience was like, what I was remembering. A big part of what I work with my clients on is what I call introspection. Our bodies are very wise. Our minds are very wise. Our souls are wise. We have this wisdom inside of us, but so many of us have been taught to ignore it. We've been taught to be grateful for what we had, compare our situation to other people, and say, well, I was only mentally abused growing up. So like, I know the person down the street was experiencing something way worse than I did, so that didn't matter. That's not the case. I have read so many books about this, and I've learned from my therapy and so much more that Your story matters. Like what happened to you? Like I like to say that I might see a cat fall out of a window and be more affected by that than somebody else who sees a human get really injured. We're all allowed to feel the way that we feel from a certain situation. And writing my book has been one of the most important parts of my healing journey. It's really helped me understand and trust my story and learn to believe my recollection, my memories of my story over what other people prefer me to believe. So I put the book down for the past few months to kind of like let it marinate, and I picked it up recently, and it's really exciting. I'm going to get this book published. I'm going to do it. It is my journey of learning how to tame my anxiety and depression and build a life of abundance just by looking inward and believing myself. And the book is really written for people like you that are doing everything right in life, who still feel like something's missing. And what's missing is that there's something probably in your childhood that needs to be excavated and worked through, like me. And I just want to tell you, like, my life has completely changed by learning to trust myself. Beneath all of the self-worth and confidence issues I was having, it was that deep inside, I felt that I was betraying myself. There were things that I felt that needed to be honored. And if I couldn't trust myself about what I remember during childhood, then how would I trust myself to drive safely? And that, I think, is at the base of what these panic attacks were really about. So in the morning, I allocate that hour to writing. After that, I do some journaling. In the same episode about meditation, I talked about journaling as well. I love journaling. There's so much about it. I would really encourage you to go back and listen to it. But journaling really it's for you. It's to get thoughts out of your mind. For me, what I'm seeing right now, I go back and review the entries weekly, and I'm able to see patterns. I'm able to see things like on Mondays and Tuesdays, things that I was nervous about or worried about, they figure themselves out by Wednesdays or Thursdays, and it's really beautiful. And also I use it to make sense of things. Like I am writing down numbers, I'm figuring out finances, just getting things out of my head and getting them onto paper and finding an answer for them. And it really, really helps me. So after journaling, I go to the gym or I go to yoga or work out for about 2 hours. And then I start my day, my computer day, my non-creative part of the day. I have my baby project client that I work on. I spend time coaching people. I do business development outreach through the day. I take a couple of walks. I try to take walking calls when I'm able to. I take Bruno for a walk, and it's really good to keep moving. I really value the exercise component of my life. I think it's really important to move. And I have a lot going on right now, so I am working generally until about 5 or 6 o'clock. But at 6 o'clock, I turn the computer off, or 5 some days, and I make dinner. That's really important for me to be able to make something really nutritious and sit down with David, and him and I talk about things that happened during the day, which we're grateful for. And it's a really important time. And then I spend the next hour just hanging out with David before going to bed at 8 o'clock. I know 8 o'clock sounds crazy early, but let me tell you, I've realized that good morning routines do start in the evening. I like Sex and the City and like watching reruns of Seinfeld just like the best of you. And I realized like what's more important to me. Reading the books in the morning is more important than watching Sex and the City for the 200th time. I'm not saying that I don't bend the rules sometimes. On weekends, I do stay up a little later, but this routine that I'm talking about has been established for, getting on to be almost a decade by this point. And I've been surprised that even on the weekends, it's not deviating too far from this most of the time. I do, on weeknights, on occasion, I will go out to dinner with a friend. David and I went to a Dodger game a couple of weeks ago, and that was really fun. So I do make exceptions, but like when I go to the Dodger game and don't get home till 10 o'clock at night, it means that my morning routine is going to be compromised a bit. And I make that compromise for special occasions, and I'm aware of it, but I plan. The book that I'm reading right now, it's like so good. I'm really surprised how much I've gleaned from it, but it's by Dan Martell. He's an entrepreneur I met recently through one of my masterminds. It's called Buy Back Your Time. And he said, like, as he's working with clients, he finds that people are questioning, like, who wants to have a structure like this? It's so restrictive. And I loved what he said. Having the structure allows for the freedom you want. When you're disciplined and have this structure, then it allows for your mornings to be able to do what you really want. And I think like me, What you really want is to have a good workout routine, some good creativity time, time to focus on your next phase in your life, to take care of your mental and emotional health. All of these things, they do happen with the structure. So although I am going to bed early and my evenings aren't quite as fun as they once were, I have so much freedom in the morning, and I vary it from time to time. Sometimes I will wake up and go hiking. Sometimes I will go to an earlier yoga class. Like, I definitely vary it from time to time. But the point is that by waking up at 4 a.m. and starting my day around 10 a.m., I have 6 hours of my day to myself to get done the things that are most important to me. And I love that. Like, by the time I go do the routine work of working with my baby product client and business development and the other parts of my day, those are easier than my morning time of being creative, writing a book, pulling this book out of thin air to turn it into something. It's easier than my hard workout routine, which is like super challenging. So it's really become like the morning parts of my day are enjoyable, but they're also the most challenging. And then as the day progresses, I am finding it to be like more and more and more easy. And then by bedtime, it's just purely relaxation. So I'm a firm believer in this. I do think that you can adjust this. Maybe you want to wake up at 5 and you go to bed at 9. I do value sleep. We should all be getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. I'm closer to 7 right now, but I, on the weekends, don't set an alarm. And sometimes if I do feel like I'm getting tired, like last week one day, I didn't set my alarm one day and I ended up sleeping until like 5:30 and I adjusted. I needed the sleep. So this isn't like I don't ever deviate from this. It's just like, this is the goal. This is what I stick to 90% of the time. And it's allowed me to change my life. There's a book called The 5 a.m. Club. It's like a really, really, really good book. And it's about like this billionaire mogul. It's told a little bit like a fable. And like, this is the secret. Like, most people that are achieving things that you want to achieve are being disciplined like this and waking up early. Or they might have a job that they don't have to report to the music studio until nighttime or something. But like, most of us that have to function during the day, have to do work during the day, we are waking up early so we can get done the things that are building the next phase of our life. To have a new life, we have to let go of the life we have today. And there's going to be a crossover where we do have to work a little harder. We might have to have a little bit less fun, a little bit less friend and family time to get these things to a place where they're working, where money's coming in, where we can hire people to do some of these things. But I really think it's important to allow your mornings to be your time that you're doing things for yourself. I hope you found this episode very useful. This is all pretty simple. Good morning routines begin in the evening, and when you take care of your evening routines, everything starts to fall into place. You start drinking less in the evenings, you start eating healthier, you realize there's a meal plan that's needed, you realize that you need to take better care of yourself by sleeping longer so you can wake up that time. So really, having this routine has been the catalyst for a massive overhaul of my life, and the best part is, it doesn't feel like work. Thanks for joining me today. I would really appreciate a comment telling me that you like this and a rating. It helps me so much get my message out there. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. And also, if you visit my website, I have a guide that I've created really distilling what I've learned over these past 8 years. It's a 6-step guide to creating your dream life. And it's what I work with my clients on. I would be very excited to have a call with anyone who's interested in one-on-one coaching. And I'll catch you next episode. Thanks so much and have a great day.